have a fucking good time. Let's go to fucking Monaco now, huh? Right. Let's fucking move. Let's go. What the fuck is going on out here?
Hey everybody. Hi Moodman. Check, 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 check. Hi One Symphony. Check, 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 check. And Mega One Entertainment. Blessings. Blessings everybody. So he is ready and I am just explaining to him how to get on the stage. I hope you all are having a good Sunday. A great Sunday, you know. Yeah, I hope you guys are having a great Sunday. So he's coming on right now. And guys, please take the opportunity to ask the questions that you need. Ask whatever questions you want to ask him in the chat. So here he is right now. Hi, Taiwo.
Hi, Julia. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, my dear. I can hear you loud and clear. So first of all, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for giving us the time. I know how busy you are, but you're going to be such a treat, especially to the men in our community, because we have a lot of business-minded men who tune in and they're on their entrepreneur journey. And having access to you is a wonderful treat. So I thank you again for giving us the time.
Thank you for the kind words. Great to be here.
No worries. So let me do my introduction for you. FireNation, today I'm thrilled to have with us Mr. Taiwo Oyewole, an accomplished entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur actually, strategist and advocate for innovation and growth across various industries. Mr. Oyewole, he is a dynamic leader whose career spans over 2 decades. He doesn't look it, but his career does span over 2 decades with extensive experience in entrepreneurship, technology, business development, and mentorship. He actually is one of my trusted mentors. He has also co-founded ventures like WorkSpat and oops, what was that? He has co-founded ventures like WorkSpat and Jigsticks, championing creative solutions that drive workplace flexibility and smart mobility. He's also a senior advisor and coach at Nobelum, and he actively supports Black-owned businesses in navigating challenges and building sustainable success in the tech and innovation sectors. But beyond this, he generously contributes his expertise as a mentor for Google Launchpad, that's in Nigeria, and as a member of the Science and Technology Policy Commission at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, where he influences policies to advance science and technology in Nigeria. So today we'll delve into things that could help us, his entrepreneurial journey, but also we'll ask the title of this live is why we need to be scrappy, especially in the beginning of business. So thank you, Taiwo, for being here. And I know you don't have much time, so we're gonna get into it. Hi, E3Z Records, good afternoon. So Taiwo, why you need to be scrappy in the early stages? When you look at early stage founders, what separates the scrappy ones from the ones who survive from the ones who don't?
Thanks, Julia. I think scrappiness is something that comes with the territory. However, I think as founders, there's this tendency to want to, come out packaged, come out, well, looking like you've got all that, you've got everything together, especially in the early stages. And the truth is that you don't, and you're not even sure that the venture you're going into is going to survive.
One second, Taiwo, your mic, I think your mic is sounding very, it's sounding very bad. Hi, Lady Janice. Lady Janice, can you hear Taiwo properly? Gentlemen, can you hear Taiwo, Mr. Oyewole properly? Or is it just me? Because I'm hearing it sounds like a transformer.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, but it's just like it's not clear. Talk again, Taiwo.
Is it better now?
That's better. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So continue. Yeah, we're listening to you.
So, I mean, you generally tend to think that, oh, you want to have everything you have everything all together. You want people to see you that way, the market, the customers, to see that you have everything together. But the reverse is always true. Because if you go out like you have everything all together, your competitors or competitors, see you as, oh, this new guy coming out or this new company coming out, and they're going to give them a run for their money. And if you make a mistake or you do something, that, customers are not going to be happy with at the end of the day, which is not with the territory moving and constantly changing, then you've created a false impression between what you try to put out there and what the reality is. So, the whole concept of why you need to be scrappy is really to embrace that scrappiness phase of of your business, essentially. So, it's important that you understand that it's a requirement for growth. That scrappiness where you're trying to fill out things. And maybe I put it in a bit of more context is when you look online and ask what the definition of a startup is, at least according to the Silicon Valley and all of that, the venture capital model is a startup is a temporary organization in search of a sustainable business model or business idea. So you're constantly trying to adjust to find what that sustainable business model is for your startup. So it's a temporary organization, which means it can change and change and change. It stops being temporary, temporary once you find that sustainable business model and sustainable business idea. And that's why you hear things like pivots, like somebody did a pivot, somebody, we had to make certain adjustments. This was what we started with, but this is what we ended up with. And that's what happens in most cases. The product or the idea you had initially ends up changing into something else. Because by the time you take it into the market, then you realize that, yes, you might have been onto something, but maybe it's not the way you thought about it, or it's a completely different area, a completely different niche, and so on and so forth. So it does pay to have a scrappy mindset. And as we go on, I'd share a bit more about how to look at it, the perspectives, at least the perspectives that I have and some other people that I work with have around it, and being scrappy.
Being scrappy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, what does it really look like? What does being scrappy really look like? Not the Instagram version, but the real grind.
And Instagram isn't being scrappy. I think
I
Instagram is
know.
being all packaged, looking well, all together, good like that there. And
Yeah,
that's the trap.
that's
That's
the
the trap
trap.
that many people fall into, thinking that, oh, once I package myself well on Instagram and so on and so forth. And it's okay if you want to earn a few bucks for yourself, earn some money, do something for yourself meaningfully. But if you're trying to build a business, which is two different things, you're trying to build a company and you're trying to run a business, that has they're two different things, completely different. So, and it's important to understand that. But I'm talking about people that are trying to build a business that goes beyond them, a business that will have to hire people and that will last a long,
Long
last
term.
year, long term,
Yeah.
as it were. And so, one of the things it looks, so I look at it more from your destination, which would look at the long term goal or long term objective. So where do you want to end up? Essentially.
Yeah.
And that's the destination. For example, you say to yourself, I mean, I remember last year when I asked you a question, and I said, where do you see your business in the next 5 years? And you gave a very definitive answer.
I did,
You know,
didn't I?
yeah, so, and that for me was, I think it was the best answer I got from all the people that I asked that question. In that sense, like that. And so knowing where you want to end up doesn't matter,
Yeah.
which means in 5 years, where do I see my business? Do you want to have, you know, expanded to maybe another 10 countries or 10 jurisdictions, for example? In 5 years, where do you see your business? Do you want to be earning, you want to grow your revenues to what, $10 million a year, $100 million a year in revenue, kind of thing like that there. But beyond the financial side of it is also you as an individual Where do you see yourself? How do you fit into that, in those 5 years? For some people, they'll be like, I want to have hit this target and retired, for example, as well. So it's different for different people, and that's always a starting point. However, when you ask people, what they tell you is what they're able to do at this point in time, which I'll get to, and that's typically the what. So the where is the first thing. Then once you define what that where looks like, which is where you want to end up, is then to figure out what are the options, what are the pathways to arriving at that destination. So that's the how. And there's always more than one in most cases. So if you want to end up $100 million business a year, there might be limited pathways. Again, the higher, the larger the goal, the smaller the pathways.
The pathways, yeah.
And that's
You know what? You're still sounding funny to me, but let me check with the audience. First of all, thank you for checking in, Gaza Ricardo and Imatep 360 Degrees and SD Right Contracting. These are all entrepreneurs, Taiwo. So it's a real treat. You guys are hearing him properly, or is it just me? Is it just my internet probably crackling? Let me know if you're hearing him properly, because the audio playback is very, very important.
Let me see if I can turn off a few other devices.
Okay, everybody's saying that they're hearing you clear, so you know what? That's fine. I can make out what you're saying, so don't change anything, Taiwo. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. So all right, Taiwo. So, and thank you, Imatep, for the super chat. Can you remember a moment in your first business, Taiwo, where being scrappy directly saved you?
I can't. I don't know. I'm not sure I can remember that far back. But I think that
or anytime, yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I mean, initially when I started a lot of all those things, I also wanted to be the same way. So a lot of the things I'm saying were based on from self-discovery, things that I learned as well going on the journey after repeated stuff. And it can be the difference between failing in business or having a business that doesn't survive and a business that survives, because then you're putting yourself, it's undue pressure. And, so maybe that's why I can't even remember. But for the ones that I've realized, the minute I realized, that, look, this comes with the territory and this is what you need to do. Nobody really cares about you at that early stage. That's the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
And it saves me. I mean, my current startup that I'm working on, which, is I've had to change the way I do quite a number of things in there. I've had to be a bit more hands-on than I would have wanted to, in that sense. One, because things kept getting more expensive, but also because, the dynamics of things just kept changing. The more the discovery I made, discovered more about the customer base and the market that we're going into, the more I realized that I needed to change a bit of my tactics. Again, the goal is still the same. It hasn't changed. The destination hasn't changed. It's just we've sort of had to adjust the pathway there now,
Right.
as opposed to changing what we're doing entirely, as it were. So, and let me say this now. One of the reasons why it's important to be very scrappy is that as a startup or very early stage in business, you only need to worry about two things. Just two things. Number one is quick validation for what it is you have, which is build out quickly, do everything fast. It's speed. Someone summed it up as speed. You need to worry about speed and distribution. Those are the only two things you need to worry about. Speed gives you the opportunity to correct things very quickly and move on. But if you don't have speed, you end up spending a long time on something that ultimately may not work. And then when you find out it doesn't work, by the time you decide to pivot, the market's shifted or moved on from what you thought. And so before you latch on to what the new opportunity might be or the new direction might be at the end of the day like that, you're probably behind. And then you spend a long time again, and then you discover. So you're probably 2, 3, 4 years behind, before you really find something that balances. And at that point, maybe you're just fighting for scraps. But if you have speed, you can test quickly, iterate quickly, test, like that. Just keep feeding like a loop, constant loop, which means don't waste too much time on assumptions that you have. They may not be correct. Once the market is telling you something, and I mean market, which means your customers, which means the industry you're in, and so on and so forth, don't waste your time. Don't try to force yourself and say, oh, this is the idea I had, it must work. It doesn't have to work the way you thought it out to be. That's the truth. If the market, it doesn't have to work out that way. You can't force people to buy what it is you're selling. They will only buy it if there's a need. That's it. It's a value exchange. And the second thing is distribution, which means once you're able to move quickly and you get to a point where you can figure out, or you figured out what, you have like baseline, what can work. You're still every business is always refining something. Every single business, no matter how old they are, but once you find that baseline, is then to figure out how quickly you can spread this so that you have enough critical mass to say, oh, we've tested it. We figured out how, this thing, and we have the right kind of feedback that can help us move forward, and so on and so forth. Or you have your first 100 customers, they're providing feedback, they're using your product, and they're paying you in the process like that there. That's good validation for you. So you need to figure out how you're going to quickly do that as well. Once you have those two things, the rest are forgivable. And then you keep building on those, as you go along. So if you don't have that mindset of speed, you're going to be caught up in that's why you have people running startups for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, nothing. And they're still on the same spot, because they're just focused on trying to, we're still at this phase, we're still at this phase. You're doing something wrong if you're staying too long on one phase, in one phase there. You're definitely doing something wrong. That's the way it is. Unless it's an industry where the development cycle takes that long. But even at that, there are other things you can do if you're well immersed in that space, in that sense. So I was talking about the how earlier, which is how do you find your pathway to the where you're going in that sense. And there's always more than one way to get to where you're going, but it's understanding what works for you based on your current circumstances. So for example, if you have a 9 to 5 and you're trying to birth a new business, it's not always easy. How much time does your 9 to 5 give you? If you have a 9 to 5, you have a family, and that's going to be challenging as well. If you have a 9 to 5, you have a family, and maybe you're committed in other groups, other associations, other things. You have other extracurricular stuff. For example, you're involved in church. You're involved with the mosque, or other kinds of groups as well, and so on and so forth. That it's going to reduce the amount of time you have to dedicate to this, but also understand that what you don't nurture doesn't grow.
Right.
So if you don't give this new business at the time of day, it will not grow. But I also understand, so it's always a dilemma that you can't also sacrifice your core, which is currently sustainable, which is currently proven, tried, and tested, and is sustaining you and your family or your current concerns. You can't sacrifice that for the sake of a dream that you don't know where it's going to go.
Right.
So how do you balance both is always the challenge, which is why the how matters in terms of how you get to your destination. It really does matter in that sense. So it doesn't mean that you're going to choose the most optimal route. You're going to choose the most optimal route for you as an individual, in that sense. There's always going to be other options. Now, it's always better if you have a partner or partners so you can distribute the load. And that way you can make quicker, you can have faster, you can move faster in that sense. And then the what is, once you define the how you're going to get there, then what do I need to do on a daily basis? What do I need to do weekly, daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly, but every 6 months, or every year? What are those goals, small targets, and objectives I need to meet to ensure that feeding into that how and moving in the direction of where I need to go, in that sense. And so they may be the same things that you would have done if you chose another pathway, but they'll be implemented differently now because of the what. Now, the challenge, the thing that most people that I've found from when I've engaged a lot of business owners is when I ask them what are they going to do, they start with the what. Here's the danger and why it doesn't work. If you start with the what, it's like saying you want to define an equation. So you say 2 + 2 is equal to 4. But here's the thing. The what you're going to do, you don't necessarily know the how or how it impacts the end point. So typically, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It can also be written as 4 is equal to 2 plus, or 4 is equal to 3 plus 1, 1 plus 3, 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1 plus 1. But, so what I defined earlier was you find out where you're going, paint a picture of what success looks like. That's what I mean by the destination.
Yeah.
And then work back from that answer. It's easier to do it that way. And I'll give an example. If you find a woman who's about to get married, most women know how they want to look on their wedding day. They know the kind of the gown dress they want to wear. They know the kind of whatever it is they want to wear. They know they will know how they want their groom to look on that day. They know how they want their bridesmaid to look. They know how they want their groomsmen, whatever to look. They know how they want the hall to look like, the kind of cake they want, the kind of the kind of ceremony they want altogether. They work back from that answer. So they take a picture of what that success looks like to an event planner whose job it is to then interpret that and then tell them, okay, this is what you want to achieve. This is how we're going to achieve it. This is what we're going to do to achieve it, and like that there. And this is how much it's going to cost you at the end of the day. So, but if the person says, I just want to get married, come give me a plan. The event planner is going to come with a picture of what they have in their own minds. Or just come, oh, you could do this, you could do this. And here's the flip side. If you don't know where the destination is, anything you get at the end of it is a result of what you put into it. So you can get anything is what I'm trying to say. But if you know what a picture of success looks like, even if you work towards it and you don't achieve it, you will know how far short you become of it. You will know what you need to do to make those adjustments ultimately, in that sense. And you know whether it's realistic, whether you need to make adjustments to that destination, whether you need to increase the time frame, whether you need to do a few things like that there. But if you don't have a goal, you don't have an end point, it's difficult to measure.
Yeah, if you don't have a vision, then it's you're just shooting at the air, basically.
Pretty much.
That's true.
So, and the scrappiness comes in largely at the what stage, which means you can adjust all the various things you're going to do. So today it's, I hired somebody. Tomorrow there's no capital to hire somebody. Am I going to go and learn this thing? Or do I go and sit with somebody, I pay the person per hour, and say, instead of paying you like a full contract, I'll pay you an hourly rate, how many hours is it going to take? I'll pay you 3 hours whenever you have money for 3 hours to pay the person, and then you come again whenever you have money for 3 hours to pay the person. Maybe that's sustainable rates to you in that sense. Maybe you want to go and partner with somebody else that maybe on an amount that you wouldn't have partnered with a person, but right now, to be able to get it up and going, you need to do that. Maybe you need to stay up all night to learn a new skill, just so that you can put it to go. You're not saying you're going to be the best at it, but you want to get this tested quickly to be sure that you're not wasting your time on it. That's part of being scrappy. That's part of being what I'm saying. Maybe you're going to knock on doors, to say, look, I'm doing this thing. I'd like to get your feedback on it. I'm sorry for bothering you, blah, 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 and so on and so forth like that. You're going to have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. This has nothing to do with how people perceive you as an individual and so on and so forth like that. This has just one objective. Am I on the right track or not? And then if you're not, you quickly pivot. If you are, then you double down on that. But you've done that initial work to do it. I've done, I just got back from a 10-hour road trip. It's part of being scrappy. I don't have to do a 10-hour road trip. There are other ways I could have done things like that. But it was necessary because I needed FaceTime with the people that I went to see. It's important. It wasn't critical and important for that. So, and that's one way, not two way, not return. So, that's part of being scrappy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can also be scrappy on the how, which is the midpoint, but that takes a longer time to prove. And I'll give you a case in point. If you're trying to sell clothes to people, let's say you're a fashion designer, it takes a while, and it's seasonal in Canada, for example. So it's not something that people are going to buy. People aren't necessarily going to buy summer clothes in the winter. It's not necessarily going to be the practice. It's not that you won't find people to buy, but you can't sell the kind of winter clothes you sell in Ontario and want to go and sell it in Vancouver. In Toronto, for example, I'm going to sell in Vancouver, where the climate is much warmer
Right.
at the end of the day, like that there. So even though you sell winter clothes and you want to expand and there's an opportunity there in Vancouver, in BC, it's not everywhere in BC that that opportunity might be. Whereas there might be more money in Vancouver than maybe somewhere, maybe northern BC, where it's a colder temperatures and so on and so forth like that there. So you want to adjust your expectations. So to do those to the way or to what the market kind of says like that.
Yeah.
But more
And the
important,
market can be different in the same country in just different places.
exactly.
Because my partner is in Montreal, and I don't know if it's because of the European background there, but he has a much easier time with the breathalyzers than I do in Ontario. However, I found now, without saying too much, that I need to just pinpoint focus on the wedding industry, because every wedding event that we have gone to, the brides and the moms are like happy to see us, and happy, and they're saying you
Yeah.
should be so now I was even thinking, well, by golly, maybe I needed to just direct my entire site towards safe weddings, right? Instead of being so broad with safe events, right? Without saying too much. But he's fine with the safe events there in Montreal, because, and not only that, but Montreal already has their limits higher, or is this point 0.05, there's 0.08. And the Europeans, they're ahead. So it's not that much of a fight with insurance, etc. So even that, right? My what didn't change per se, but it got refined. So now I'm just,
So the
thinking of
how
the
didn't
yeah,
change. You're still using breathalyzers because your end point is to. So the goal for you, for example, let's use this as an example there. Your
yeah,
goal is to help people have safe events or people to return back to their homes safe events so that there are no incidents that are tied to events that are meant to evoke happy emotions or good, joyous emotions from people. Not that after somebody's wedding or somebody's event, some 10 people died due to, car accident or got in the hospital, blah, blah, blah.
right.
That's still the goal, to create safe people to in that sense there. The how is still through the breathalyzers in that sense like that there. But now the what you do is now changing the focus a bit more because of the audience. So what you're just doing is trying to change your audience from being a more generalistic audience to more people who are who have a vested interest in ensuring that end goal is achieved in that sense. And it's different from in Ontario as it is in Quebec. So, which is what you're saying at this point in time. And that's part of being scrappy, meaning that because some people be like, "Oh, you're not selling to corporates again. Why are you now selling to wedding planners or to events and so on, to weddings and so on and so forth like that?" But oh, are you now an event planner? Are you now an event this? You those are the reasons why people don't move as quickly because they don't want people asking them and say, "The last time we spoke, you said you were doing for corporates. Now you're into weddings. You're into that. What do you do?" And so on and so forth like that. There, like that's what it means to be scrappy in terms
Yeah,
of in that mindset because you want to test quickly. You don't want to waste too much time on something that isn't working. I think that's the goal.
exactly right. Exactly right. And who knows? I mean, maybe after it's even more becomes a staple at weddings, then it might open up other doors that seemed like they were closed before.
Absolutely.
So, that's where my mind is. But you're definitely right. And remember, we're talking about other countries too that we're having dialogue with, and they have nothing like that. I don't want to reveal too much, but you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to actually visit there soon because they just had a change in government and they're very interested. So let's wait and see. I'm scrappy all the way. So let's see. Um, all right. This one you basically just answered, but I'm going to ask again. Maybe you can say it in a different way. Why do you think so many new entrepreneurs overplanned instead of executing? Good evening, Bruce Wayne. Good evening, Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Why do you think so many of us?
Execution is hard. and it can be daunting. So, so maybe I shouldn't use you as an example because I think you're a rare breed. But for most people, stepping out of their comfort zone and doing something that they've probably never done before, because let me give an example. It's one thing to be a very good user of a product. It's another thing to be the one that owns that product and sells that product. They're two different things entirely. And I wouldn't mention any names here, but there's somebody, a very popular individual globally, is a very good user of a particular product, and then he decided to buy the company. And then he realized that there's a difference between being a very good user on the like serious power user, influential user on of the product, and being an owner of that product, because the industry is completely different to industries that he was familiar with in that sense. And so execution can be done. You can have all the strategies that you want on the paper at the end of the day, but execution would always trump strategy. And the reason is that if you have strategy and it's just on the pages of paper, of a PowerPoint document or whatever it is, makes no difference. In fact, over 60% of strategies that are developed for companies, and I'm talking large enterprises, they've paid ridiculous sums of money for, never get implemented. They end up just remaining on the pages of those documents. So execution is hard. That's the first thing we need to understand. But that's where that's where being scrappy comes into play. Being scrappy also means not really caring what other people think about you. Because when you start a business, your personal identity doesn't matter as much, especially if it's a business that doesn't really require people knowing who you are. So, for example, we're on YouTube or whatever platforms we're using at this point in time. Who knows the owners? Do you know them personally? Did you have to know them before you signed up to the platforms?
Right.
You didn't. Nobody cares. So only the initial sets of people are going to worry about who the owner is and so on and so forth like that. And some people just don't, as long as you meet a need, and that's it. So we put ourselves under this pressure thinking that it's a contest for social acceptability, or where we have to meet up with certain societal norms and things. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying do anything out of order and so on and so forth like that. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there for the sake of your business, because you're the primary promoter of your business. You're going to sell your business first. You're going to be the one who can sell it the most. You're going to be the one who understands the product the most. That's your job as an entrepreneur, as a founder, in that sense. In fact, if you have to hire somebody who's going to sell for you for the early stages of your business, you're setting up yourself to fail. Because the day that person leaves, you're in trouble. So being scrappy also means that you have to learn to be uncomfortable, with doing what it is you're doing in that sense. So it's learning new things. It's being uncomfortable with uncertainty, and uncertainty is going to be something you're going to deal with a lot.
All the time.
All the time. You're going to have to learn to be uncomfortable with it there. And the only way to get through it is being scrappy. If you're trying to put yourself together because, you're the guy who, you had a 9 to 5, or you have a 9 to 5, you're your manager or director, all well, the suits, everything looking prim and proper on LinkedIn. You're the one people come to for answers. You're already earning $300K a year or $400K a year, or $500,000 a year. I'm telling you, by the time you start your own business, all of that you're going to have to, again, you leverage your experience, your knowledge, your expertise, but you go in like you have a blank canvas, to be honest, because overall, the market doesn't really care about prior experience in some of those areas in most cases. And you find out that a lot of entrepreneurs are going into territories that maybe they didn't even have any experience or expertise in. So there's a lot of learning that has to be done. So it's like when you first start out on that new job, you don't know anything. You're learning as you go along. And that's the way it is. So you have to go back to that reset mode, and say, look, what do I need to do? What do I need to get done? You have to be comfortable with making mistakes and knowing how to recover from those mistakes as well. And take nothing personal. People are going to tell you a lot of no's. Some people are going to tell you yes, and those yeses are not going to mean anything.
Anything. All the time. All the time, or it's the hurry up and wait. And
Yeah,
especially when you have a service, that could be the most frustrating thing. So you have to be sticking and move, staying on the radar, but not being desperate, because you know that what you have is actually wonderful. If you could just see, if they could just see that, I'm what I have is, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to show you that if you give it a chance, you would actually love it. But at the same time, giving them enough space. So it's always a tightrope. It's always a tightrope.
yeah, it's
Always a
always a
tightrope.
tightrope. So, and that's why the only thing, it's like a child. The
Yeah.
child doesn't, they believe that they have that at whatever age that they have the best knowledge and information to do anything. They would challenge you, they would do all of those things like that there, and so on and so forth. So they'll do things, sometimes they'll defy you, sometimes they'll do whatever it is like that, just because they believe that they have the best knowledge, but they don't have the full perspective, they don't have the benefit of experience that you have as an adult. In most cases like that. So as an entrepreneur starting out, somebody starting out, don't see yourself as an adult. See yourself as that child who's on that constant journey. If you see yourself as that adult, and while I believe that I'm a lifelong learner. I learn every day. I learn from anything, anyone, no matter what it is, doesn't matter. But you need to put yourself in that position of a child where at that moment you think that your knowledge is all you have. But the majority of an adult to know that there's 70 or 80% of that you don't even know
Right.
concerning any matter. So it's striking that balance and knowing when to turn on your experience and when to shut it off.
Right. When to actually listen and actually let them feel and let them know that you care about their clients just as much as they do.
Absolutely. So
Right.
because at the end of the day, yeah, it's a value exchange. It's not
Mhm.
nobody's just going to buy from you because, well, maybe your relatives are going to buy from you just for this, just to encourage you. But other than that, any other person is going to buy because they want something in return, which means whatever promise you're making to them, whether through your product or your service, they
Mhm.
want something in return.
Right. The book is doing nice too. I haven't even advertised it as yet. I'm gonna start advertising it, but people are actually liking it. The fact that it keeps their children out of the tablets. And I never thought about that angle really, right? But it was someone that actually wrote a review and said that they love the fact that it keeps their kid out of the tablets. And I was like, wait a second, I need to put that, so I learned that after that. So that's really good. But yeah, greetings invest is another entrepreneur as well. He's in Jamaica, but he's also in the police force. So the same thing that you were saying, 9 to 5, battling a 9 to 5 and still starting his own business. And he asked, how would you deal with creating a software for a market that you don't live in? I can travel to the market if I need to. Appreciate your response.
That's thanks a lot for sharing that. I think that's a dilemma that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs also have. One, because technology plays a vital role in the world that we live in today. But what I would say is this: that things are a whole lot easier now than they used to be. They're a whole lot cheaper now. With the benefit of AI now, you can literally build your own software by yourself. At least the initial phases of the software. Again, part of being scrappy, without having to worry too much about how much, how well the solution's written, how and so on and so forth like that. There, let's focus on just getting the initial customer base. So one of the first things I would do quickly is go into your AI solution, ChatGPT or Gemini. They're all good for different things. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Grok. There's also Lovable for websites and Bolt for websites as well, websites and applications as well. They
Mhm.
all have their strengths in that sense. But if you have a Google subscription, Google Gemini subscription, or Google One subscription, Gemini Pro comes with it, or you get a Google AI Pro subscription, for example. This thing's about $30 a month or something like that there, which is much cheaper than going to hire a developer for thousands of dollars to do the project for you. You can get a ChatGPT subscription for $25 as well, or something a month, or $30 a month. Similar for Claude as well. There are more advanced versions that have fewer restrictions, which would be $200 a month. I think Google is doing a promo on their Gemini one, and Gemini 3 is really very good as well. Now you get access to the Nano Banana, which creates images. You get access to VO3, which creates some short video, form video as well, and can help with coding and so on and so forth. So starting first with deep thinking, whether it's ChatGPT or with Gemini or Claude, just typing or say to it what industry you're trying to get into, which location you're trying to get into, like that there, and ask it to do a proper research, ask it to do proper analysis for you, breakdown of the analysis, and also what you call it there, how you can go into it as a business, where are the challenges, where are the opportunities in that area, and how you can take advantage of those opportunities. They may be very niche, but if you do that, it can show you the players in the industry and so on and so forth. And once you do that, you have that breakdown, and you can generate that into a Google Docs document that you digest over and over again. You can make amendments to ask for certain more queries, and then when you're done and you decide where you want to break into, you can then ask it, or you want to develop this document, what are the steps you need to follow to develop this as a software, whether it's an app or whether it's a mobile app or it's a web-based platform, and so on and so forth. And it will guide you step by step what to do and help you build the app if you tell it to build it for you. And then, even how to host it, it will give you instructions. And the good thing is that if you do the Google one, it can plug directly into the Google things like databases and stuff. It will guide you on how to activate those things. And, at the end of the day, you put that there, even to connect them to payment gateways if you need people to pay for it, and so on and so forth like that. It can guide you with that process and then give you recommendations. You can ask for recommendations on go to market and stuff like that. And it gives you all those options, and then you can work and plug with that. The only thing is that they don't scale when you have a huge customer base, but they help you break into the market, test the product, again, being Scrappy, test it very quickly, know what adjustments you need to make in that sense, like that there. And then if you need to approach people for money, whether it's angel investors or VCs, you have something to show that hasn't cost you an arm and a leg. It's probably cost you less than $1,000 to do everything, and then, but it's also in the market. You have users, you have validation, and you have data to rely on at the end of it. So research the AI tools, which ones are better for what, and so on and so forth. There's some fringe ones. Things like Bolt and Lovable are primarily for building technology like websites and applications, software applications, mobile apps, and stuff like that. But ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, they do all those things. Actually, someone like Lovable and maybe even Bolt, they also rely on platforms like Claude or ChatGPT because there are few large platforms that have capacity for a lot of things that you need to do. And once you start from there, it opens up a new world of opportunities for you in that sense. So don't waste your time trying to go hire a developer. Don't waste your time trying to, trying to pay people for this and that. Spend more time in you understanding the industry you want to go into. If you need to go there, if it's really necessary to go there, fine. But if not, if there are people, relationships you can connect with, but a lot of the information you will need to be online. Don't get me wrong, it's not 100%. You still need some.
Right. But it would stimulate some direction, though. The more you read other things, it stimulates direction. It gives you, open up your mind to try other things, right, Taiwo?
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Did I cut you or sorry? Did I cut
No,
you?
go on. Absolutely, you're correct.
Okay, well, with that, Taiwo, what are the first 3 things you believe a founder must learn to do themselves before outsourcing it?
I think your first priorities should be with the business, and I mean the business. And I'll give an example. I like illustrations because they help break it down. Any restaurant or restaurant owner who is also the chef, who's also the, the executive chef and so on and so forth like that they're more passionate about the food than the business. So there's food business and then there's a business of food.
Mm-hmm.
They're two different things.
Two different things.
One is focused on how you keep the business running, the business itself. And then there's another one which is really about, how do you get people to eat good quality food, blah, 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 and so on and so forth like that there. It's like a tech geek. Most developers are not necessarily the best entrepreneurs. I give another example. Facebook, when, initially and stuff, because Mark Zuckerberg was really still a geek. But, they had to bring in Sheryl Sandberg from Google. They had to poach her. She actually created the revenue generation and generating engine for Facebook that you see today. She used to be with, I think, I might be, I stand corrected. I think it was either the ads division or YouTube or one of those things. Ads division for Google. And she was one of the early. She was one of the early. I think one of the early stuff. Again, I stand corrected, but she was in a very critical division in Google, and she was brought in to be COO. She practically ran the business side of the organization, and in itself like that, because Facebook wasn't making any money for the longest for a period of time. So there's that where you're passionate about your product and so on and so forth, but there's also a business side to it, which may have nothing to do with, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't sell good quality products and stuff like that, but there are certain things that the business side may not agree with the other side of. And many restaurateurs fall into that trap. That's why restaurant business has a high attrition rate. And the businesses change hands very quickly. However, if you find people that buy certain types of franchises, and they keep them running and so on and so forth, and in most cases, when you buy a franchise, the recipes are already fixed, everything's already formed like that. The owner is not coming because they know how to cook. For all intents and purposes, they don't necessarily even need to know how to cook anything.
Right.
Theirs is to invest the capital. So as long as the master brand is doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, and you can replicate the same thing. So what it means is that there's consistency. If you eat at that same location in Quebec and you come to Ontario and eat at that same location, they will taste the same. You'll get the same quality of service. You will get, those are more viable. They're the things that keep the business going.
You're right.
It has nothing to do with the taste of food and so on and so forth like that there. Look, the best taste of food in most cases will be the ones you either cook or somebody in your house cooks or somebody that you know they are close to.
It's true. It's facts. And it's the familiarity of it too, because the thing is this, no matter where I go in the world, I know a Hilton hotel will be a Hilton hotel, will be a Hilton hotel. So I can bank on that familiarity, right?
That's it.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's what
You're
keeps
100%
businesses
right.
going. So it's not Hilton, it has nothing to do with any of those things like that.
Right.
It's that on that side, yeah.
Right, 100% right. And you know what else, too? Now that you say that, now that you say that, Taro, everybody knows the difference between, they're both burgers, but everybody knows the difference between a Burger King burger and a McDonald's burger. They
Absolutely.
taste different. They're the same thing, but they have a unique taste to them. So when you're getting a Burger King burger, you know what you're getting a Burger King burger. So I see what you mean. Like the consistency across the board makes it familiar, so people know that this is what they're getting, then this is what they're getting, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely. And I think that opened up a lot of that opens up something for me. All right. Let's see. What processes should founders avoid early on because it may slow their momentum?
That depends on what you're trying to do and, again, the industry. And I keep using the word industry because it's very important. No matter how brilliant you think your idea is and so on and so forth like that, if it's not, you can't be bigger than your industry. and for you to be an outlier in your industry, it takes a lot. Many people hear of the big names and some people, how they became outliers and so on and so forth. What people don't tell them is that those outliers are 0.0000, maybe 0.0001%. So don't try to be an exception to the rule is the first thing I would say. Exceptions to the rule are few and far apart. That shouldn't be your objective. In fact, anyone who's an exception to the rule will tell you all they did to arrive at that point was to follow the rules to a point where they perfected it. They understood the rules very well, and they had very simple skill sets. It's like soccer or football. Lionel Messi, C. Ronaldo, and the big players, and the big great players. You can ask Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan didn't know how to throw the basketball any different than any other person. He just had better accuracy. He had, LeBron James, it's better accuracy. They understand gameplay better. So, but it's not because they play outside of the same rules. If they travel with their ball, they take more steps without bouncing the ball. It's still called traveling. So there's nothing that they're doing that is outside of the rules. They're called an exception to the rule because when you look at the law of averages, all the other players don't play at that heightened level. But the things that they do at that point is to master certain skill sets very quickly. They master them as they go along. So they spend more time training.
Yeah.
They spend more time perfecting certain skill sets and certain things like that. It's those simple things that they focus on. So as an entrepreneur, one of the things you want to do in processes and stuff like that, I try not to say what you shouldn't do because again,
who knows?
Exactly. But spend more time figuring out what it is you can be brilliant at and nobody else. Or at the very least, nobody else will do as well as you, or at the very least, you'd be top 10 on that subject matter, whether in in your province, in your country, anywhere in the world, that anytime you look at it, you can see that, you can see it, you can see the pathways that many other people would struggle to see. And it takes time and dedication, takes time and commitment to doing that. Now, it may not be very easy for some people to pinpoint those things very quickly too. So these are things that you need to do. It's a repeated exercise to figure out what that thing looks like. Sometimes it takes years to develop those kinds of things in that sense. And the reason is this: everybody needs an edge. Everybody needs an advantage. So recently, Facebook they hired one guy and his team or something. Maybe I don't know how many size of his team, but there were just a few people. But practically, they paid $1.5 billion to hire one person, maybe a few. And then they sacked 660 people from their AI team. There might not be any correlation, but you draw the inference as you want.
Right.
It's a so what one person is bringing, and maybe he's this few, whatever it is, team or whatever it is. Then I know his team is not up to 100. I know his team is not up to 50.
Right.
But the point is, they're willing to pay that much money because of what that person brings to the table.
Right.
And you need to put yourself in that position. That gives your business a fighting chance.
Right.
Beyond what the normal average every other person is kind of doing. So whether you're in trading, you're in whatever it is like that, figure out what it is that you're going to, that thing that nobody else.
Right. Figure out your own lane.
Yeah, and that thing you're going to be the best at as an entrepreneur. That if they wake you up from sleep, they're like, oh, I'm going to go to one person. There are only 3 people in the world that can answer this question correctly. And if I wake this one person, if I wake him up from sleep, he would tell me the answer. And if all 3 of them say the same thing, then we know that's the direction to go.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether there are thousands of other people saying different things.
Right. Yeah, that's why you need to have a lot of humility too. and paying attention on this journey as well, you know, and to be honest. Honesty with yourself is very, very important, right? How can founders identify when they're moving too fast but in the wrong direction? Well, I guess you will know when you're in the wrong direction, so that's a silly question. But how would you identify when you're moving too fast? Is there such a thing as moving too fast?
Yeah, there can be. So there's a concept of overcapitalization. Somebody mentioned that years ago. I heard it. You can have, so for example, you can have money may not be an issue for you when you start your business. And so because of that, you can hire people, you can have customers, you can do all of those things like that. But because capital isn't an issue for you, you don't think too much about where you're going and where that's going to end you up. So you can definitely grow too fast, and you can grow too fast in the wrong direction. And again, we call it a wrong direction because eventually you find out.
You're
In
right.
most cases, only a few people, again, these are skill sets that is not readily available to everyone because it's like a mother that I don't know, not many mothers would agree that their children have challenges that they need to deal with openly, publicly. Privately, they might, but publicly, they probably wouldn't. So, and that's the way it is too. When you treat your startup or your business that way, many people struggle to find those flaws and to reflect inwards. Because, if, for example, customers could be paying you money, the money's coming in, you are growing in that sense, but you don't see that in another 1 year, that pipeline is going to close, it's going to dry up. You're going to have to fire almost all the people that you hired, and you're potentially going to be in debt. So it does take sometimes experience. It does take people who have certain kinds of insights to be able to show you, that you're going in that place. But one way to de-risk that is to do as much digging as you can, is to find out as much information as you can about the industry. Look at trends, look at patterns. You might just be in a bubble. And bubbles are real. Like the AI bubble is about to burst. Well,
That's what I keep hearing, Tao. I keep hearing that. Tell me
don't
why you
worry.
think so. Tell me about that. I know we're veering off, but this is an interesting conversation, and this is a hot topic that I keep hearing entrepreneurs saying it, and I'm still thinking about it, Taiwo. I'm like, is it gonna burst? Is it a real bubble? Is it an imagined bubble? Is it a bubble that they manufacture because they want to give the impression that it's going to burst? Like, what exactly is it? Tell me about that. Big up Rick Storm, Rick live stream, and Mega Entertainment. Yeah, tell me about that, Taiwo. Why do you say
So
that?
I'll paraphrase what the IBM CEO has said. That he doesn't see how the investments in data centers and stuff that the tech giants are making, that he doesn't see how they're going to make any money from it. They're going to make money from it at the end of the day. And it's just common sense at the end. It's just common sense. There's some people who are just chasing a valuation game. I'm not going to mention names or whatever it is. And it doesn't matter how fast the technology is growing. It can't outpace the human need. It can't outpace the human beings' ability to assimilate or to even utilize that technology. It becomes a waste. So what it means is that you're creating oversupply.
Right. Yeah.
And it's simple economics. If supply is higher than demand,
Right.
the prices crash. Once the prices crash, that's an issue. Now, so if the prices crash, which is what's happening, if the prices crash, what's going to happen to all the investments that they made and the forecasts that they made at the peak?
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to lose a lot. So you're going to find a lot of people selling, and pulling
So
out.
at the end of the day, so yes, the bubble is real. It
The
will
bubble is
burst.
real.
When it will burst, I don't know. To be honest, because I think that there's enough capital to keep it floating, keep going for now. But it is real, and that's not to say that there's no value in the tool AI itself or the concept of AI itself. I use it in my product as well. So it's not like it's not there. More machine learning than so, but actually both. But the point is, you anything that outpaces humanity's ability to assimilate or to utilize something.
Yeah.
So so when it's like somebody drowning in water. So when you say it's a bubble that's about to burst, it's like somebody drowning in water. What it means is that number one, you're taking water at a rate that is faster than you can take on, and two, you're taking more volume than your system can
Handle.
handle,
Yeah.
can process per time. That's
Yeah.
what causes drowning. So if because it's almost impossible to keep up with the pace at which a lot of all these things are being developed and coming out there. And it's not just me. I'm not even an AI expert, but the AI experts, I've had conversations with them, and they're like they can't keep up themselves, and they're not bothered about those things like that. In that, so it is a bubble. The economics don't make any sense.
Right.
If the economics don't make any sense for the way they announce things and just do things here and there. Oh, they're going to build a data center for this, 100, $200 billion. This, they just throw numbers out there it's because they have capital to do that. To do that. A lot of those things are not going to materialize. That's a fact. And even the resources to birth those things are not readily available.
Right. Right. Yeah, actually I was thinking about that as well too. Right. I'm watching the time. You've been here an hour. I know you don't have that much time. I just want to just rapid fire with you, what are the early signs that a founder has a distribution problem and not a product problem?
Well, if you can't find people to utilize your product, or you can't, you're struggling to grow the numbers. Let's say you even have a few users, whether they're people that are close to you or people that find it useful, but you can't scale that, you can't grow that. Then you have a distribution problem. On the one hand, that's a distribution problem. It could also be a product problem. So sometimes until you test, but largely distribution is about how quickly can you get it to certain places, and how many people can you get it to get to, like that. How many people's hands can you get it to very quickly in that sense. So you could have a distribution problem if you're not on the right platforms. For example, if you have a mobile app and you're not on Google Store, Apple Play Store, or whatever it is like that there. I know many people don't want to use those platforms because of the monetization policies and stuff like that, the amount of money they take. So if you can't reach the right people, your audience, if you can't reach them when you need to reach them and how you need to reach them, then you have a distribution problem. Distribution is essentially how you get it into the hands of the target audience.
Right.
So that's the first sign.
Systems.
Yeah, systems. Sometimes it's partnerships. So if you're in retail, for example, do you talk to distributors? It might lower your margins, but it gets the product on the shelf, or get it out there to the customers. If you're doing e-commerce, if you don't have the money to advertise, do you want to get it on Amazon, for example, or Shopify, for example? They have distribution. They have customer base. They have all of those things like that. So you pay them something nominal. No, I wouldn't say nominal, but you pay them something, for whatever it is that, you get for whatever sales you make or something, or however, whatever the arrangement is. And they handle that distribution, even the fulfillment for you, at the end of the day. So distribution can mean different things for different people. You can have the best product, but you don't have the right distribution to get it into the hands of the people.
The right people.
At the end of
the right people. Yeah.
So but the reason why it might be a challenge also is that if you don't have the critical mass to determine whether the product is a viable product or not, because you don't have distribution, then you can't really know whether you have a product problem.
Right. Right. Exactly right.
So
Exactly right. So there's no test there for you to know if there's a problem or not. Right.
so you need, that's why when I said earlier, two things you need to worry about: speed and
Speed
distribution.
and distribution.
So you need
Speed
to
and
figure out
distribution.
what that distribution looks like. That's why speed with testing and iteration
Mm-hmm.
very quickly. Once you understand that, in that sense, but you need to already have an idea of what that distribution looks like from
Yeah.
the go, in that sense. And distribution can take a while to figure out. So
Yeah.
don't wait till the product is done before you figure out distribution. I think it's more, you figure it alongside. So that distribution is the how. You remember the destination. The distribution is the how. How do you get it into people's hands?
Yeah.
That's what that distribution looks like. And it can be a number of ways, depending on what it is you want to do, in that sense. So back to an earlier question as to what founders should not, processes they shouldn't spend their time. One of the things you need to spend your time more is, what are the how do I distribute my product, whether it's electronic, physical, or whatever it is like that there. How do I distribute the product is a critical part of, the things you need to spend your time on, because that's what's going to determine whether that product is alive or not. For
Yeah.
example, having a product, so even if you had a product and you say, oh, fantastic product, somebody says I can get it into Walmart for you. For one, you need a lot of money to get the product into Walmart because the volumes they're going to order are not small volumes.
Right.
So you need money to be able to produce those volumes in the first instance. Then there's the follow-on sales. It's not enough to get it on the shelves. People have to know to go to Walmart to look for the product to buy it off the shelf of Walmart. Because if it sits on the shelf of Walmart and nobody buys it, after a while, Walmart will
Walmart is going to kick you. Yeah.
and you're going to be in debt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's always a balance, always a
so
balancing.
while Walmart might be a distribution channel, it may not be where you want to be, even though
Right.
the product might be right for you. You might choose smaller scale platforms first to build that network, grow it. You have sustainable, verified source of income. People know it, and then you can use Walmart as another thing. So it's a multi-tier thing at the end of the day, and you can have distribution. The product sells, but ultimately you still have a product problem because it's not selling beyond. Sometimes they plateau. You don't get beyond a certain thing, or people try it because it's just a fad at that moment. After that, case in point is this. What's the name of this bike that was released during COVID? This exercise bike.
Peloton. My sister got. I know my sister got one. I know she don't use it. And a matter of fact, they had problems at first. Peloton had problems at first, and now people are still not really trusting it as much. Yeah, the Peloton bike. I remember. I remember that.
They had the money, they had distribution because they could ship to almost anyone. They bought some factories or something like that, or had some factories and stuff like that, and produced and did so many things. And so distribution really wasn't a problem. Ultimately, they had a product problem because when life resumed to normalcy and people weren't stuck alone at home, worrying about what to do and where the social media, gym or fitness, whatever it is, fad, where it fizzled out for people wanting to have in-person stuff, when all of those things changed, nobody wanted it anymore. People wanted to go to the gyms.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Everybody wanted to be out, right? So like, and without saying too much, even me with the kids book, one of the buyers actually reached out to me and she said, you should think about PTAs, like schools, like getting them, and distribution. Infogram Spark, they distribute automatically for you. KDP at Amazon KDP, because they print it for you as well. They take a big chunk out of your profits, right? But and it's a lot to figure out, like, where, how to actually get it into the hands of these people that want their kids away from the tablets, right? So figuring that out as well. But yeah, now I've put it on Infogram Spark. It's on Barnes and Nobles. It's on Amazon, and I was surprised at how it picked up on Amazon without any advertising. But we're getting ready for that now, which I'm kind of late behind because the 25th of December is already upon us, right? And then there's also this big boycott with Amazon. People are not trying to do Amazon as much anymore, so I have to keep that into consideration. But let me ask you this. Okay. You mentor many entrepreneurs, right? How often do you see founders building without a clear destination or a clear North Star, like what we always call it?
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
So what do you do, Taiwo, when you see that? What do you do? How do you do that? How do you handle that?
It's like a disease. It's called founder's bias.
Is it?
No, no, I'm not joking, but to be honest, that's what it is. It's a founder's bias, meaning that. So here's the reason: it's because you have this idea, and you think this is going to revolutionize the world. It's going to make you a multimillionaire, multi-billionaire. People are going to do this, and so on and so forth. Like, you have no idea what the market is saying around it. Don't get me wrong; the idea may not be wrong, but your version of the solution, what you call the idea, your version of that solution, the problem may exist, but your version of that solution may not be the way the market can accept it. It could be different things. So, for example, there were so many other platforms before Facebook ever came out. There was Flickr, there was MySpace, there was a lot of them like that there, and so on and so forth. But Facebook started with universities and they were able to build that thing out. They had critical mass, it grew, and then they found ways to adopt, implement it to other things. Similar to yourself as well, figuring out, oh, people in weddings might actually have more of an edge with this, I'm more interested in this, in that sense, and so on and so forth. But many founders are stuck in, oh, this idea must work this way. This is the way it works. I'm so believe so strongly because they think that when somebody says no or somebody says that, oh, they think the idea, is not viable, it's not this and that. They think, oh, it's a challenge to them. But yes, it is a challenge, but it's a challenge to hear why that person said that in the first instance.
Right.
Take that, process it, take it into the market, take as much feedback as you need to take from the market there and figure out, because when they're telling you stuff, it's stuff you need, it's insight in that sense, which is why I said it's a disease, because it's a mental block that doesn't allow you to see that feedback is actually what you need to refine the product. And it's a real thing in that sense there, because it thinks it's challenging your inability to think. It's a challenging your intelligence. It's challenging your some. They think I'm stupid or they want to cheat me. I'm telling you the things that. Oh,
I always want to know why.
they're trying to cheat me. They're trying to steal my idea. They think I'm stupid. The person just telling me nonsense. The next time anybody tells me that, I'm going to tell them I told one guy off because it's like you said, something you said, which is humility. Is that it's important that you understand that feedback is very vital. It's part of that discovery process.
Yeah.
And once and how you know that you've worked on it or you've gotten the right amount of feedback is if after a while all the people you meet are repeating the same things you've heard before, then you've hit a point. So you know you have the information you need. And then go and start looking for answers to each of those concerns that they have, each of those areas that they've raised there. And the more you dig into it, the more you'll find. The more you say, okay, I can't answer this one. I can answer 5 out of 6. But the sixth one, how much of a priority is it? Okay, maybe we'll leave it out. Because truthfully, if you build a product just based on what's in your head, you're largely going to end up disappointed.
Very true. Very,
So,
very, very true. You need the feedback.
So what I try to do is to get them to look at multiple perspectives, that people aren't really out to hurt you. Some people are generally rude and badly behaved, but
Yeah.
overall, it doesn't matter. You're the one that wants to get something out there, and it's important that you figure out what's important from the noise. So I look at it from signal and noise. What's signal and what is noise?
Huh. I like that, actually.
So
Signal.
noise is just noise, but what signal helps you move either in the right direction or in the opposite direction. So, but noise in most cases doesn't do anything for you. It's just a distraction. So over time, what you're trying to do is to develop your skill sets where you can identify what is noise, what is signal, and know how to separate the two.
Right. Taiwo, are you still taking entrepreneurs like for advice, etc.? And if you are, would you please like give us your links in the chat so that because there are a lot of people who they don't know where to start. I know that they would benefit from any advice that you can give them. So, but I know you're always full. So I mean, maybe touched by an angel, one of them might be, and reach out to you. But If anything at all, just drop it in the chat if you can. But let me ask you this. You've seen so much. Can you tell us the difference between what a healthy pivot looks like and what a panic pivot looks
Can you
like?
tell us the difference between?
Do you have me open on another platform?
You
Because
said I
I'm
to
here.
put something in the chat, so I'm trying to open it.
Oh, you're trying to open it.
I'm on the what you call StreamYard now. So
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to,
yeah. Put it in there. Put it in there. Put your links in there. And then when I post these videos, I'll definitely post your links as well. Because that's the thing. What I appreciate about your mentorship so much, Taiwo, is you don't make things look easy, but you make us look at it a different way. Like consider things a different way, right? And it's never, well, maybe the humility has to have a part in it, right? But you always let us consider, maybe maybe we're not looking at things the full scope of it, right? And you never tell us that you're wrong. You always let us know that I understand how attached you are to it and why you've been thinking this, but have you considered this? So yes, you always leave us with much more to but that is what's needed. But that's what's needed. And a matter of fact, Tyrell, know that you said that, right? I tell you without saying too much. I have a list of people that basically told me that, like, Julia, this is really great for weddings, etc. But as you get more popular, then we'll take the risk with our clients, because a lot of people aren't getting married right now. We don't want to push all of these things going on, right? So I have a list of them because of the fact that I know that I can't just only take care of the people that said yes. So a part of my plan is, the more wedding events we do that are, successful wedding events, we just lightly show them, just send an email. Oh, by the way, we did this, and look, see how well received it was. Because sometimes they are set in the ideas of what a wedding is supposed to look like too. And no shame to them, because they've been doing it for 30, 40. Some of them have been doing it longer than I've been alive. So I will never disrespect them in that way. But maybe it's just a gentle, the soft power, where as to get them to be more comfortable with it, because they're seeing that it's actually a benefit to their actual industry, because they're not operating separate from the actual wedding industry, which is an animal in itself. That's what I am, anyway. Yeah, continue.
I don't know. I mean, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
if I was you, what I would do is focus on those who have said yes,
Yeah.
and dig into why they said yes, because why they said yes is more important than the fact that they said yes.
Yeah.
The motivation behind their yes is actually more insight for you than the fact that they said yes. The yes just ensures that you get paid,
Yeah.
but the reason behind that yes is what will let you know whether they'll be a repeat customer, or they won't be a repeat customer, or whether you're barking up the wrong tree as well. For example, somebody might say yes because their client had a relative that died due to whatever it is, and that could be the reason. Somebody might say yes because they believe that their business, or maybe they've had more clients or had more incidences like that there. Somebody could say yes just because their client wanted it, or they're looking for something extra to add to their client's stuff at the end of the day. And the outcome will determine whether or not they call you back, in that sense. What that does for you is that you start putting them in different buckets to know that they didn't just say yes because of this, but once you see those motivations, that then helps you determine what you need to do per time to know, you know, how to capture many more people who have those needs and requirements. It will help you in like a survey. It will help you even if you want to do something online as well. It would help you if like online advertising or something like that, because then you know the kind of people to target
Mm-hmm.
based on their interests. So if you're speaking to people, you know the kind of people to say, to partners, the kind of people you're saying, or help me look for. Once you have a conversation with somebody and they're not hitting those notes, you already know that this is an X.
Yeah.
So it's it's a it's it's a lot. It's constant engagement, and that's what you find with it. But the most critical thing is the need to
Yeah.
know the understanding, and this is a challenge that most marketers have actually. Is they don't really know the why, and that's why you can find something. There's a hype, so a new product or whatever it is, there's a hype, spikes and then down. That's it, nothing else in that sense. But people that understand, they know how to drive sales a lot. For example, Black Friday sales. Some guy did a skit online, and he was like, "Why are you selling me new TV?" He said, I bought a 70-inch TV 10 years ago. It's still 70 inches. It hasn't changed from being 70 inches. Why are you selling me a new 70?" He says, if you can reduce the price of groceries, you can reduce the price of some other things like that there. But I don't need new electronics that I'm going to go and junk the old ones there. But guess what? The guys that are doing the Black Friday sales, they understand the human psyche. They understand how people are drawn into this thing. They understand that 60% of buying is impulse buying. People never plan for it. So they understand all of those things, and they know how to push people's buttons. So they come and tell you, oh, they're doing all these deals. And so it's making you feel like if you don't buy, you're going to miss out from it. Whereas they're probably still selling, some of them are selling it to you at the same price that they were selling it originally. They only go and put a higher price, cancel it out, and tell you, so because you've not been there all the time. So people buy things they don't need just because somebody understands why. And it's the fear of missing out that if
Yeah.
I don't get it. So they understand that. So in your industry and in your space, what's the fear of missing out? What would that be? What would that look like for you?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, in that sense, it could also be the way you present it and package it. So, for example, weddings are things that are generally synonymous with happiness and joy. When you talk about trying to prevent accidents and stuff like that, it takes them on the opposite side of.
Yes. So we have
So
to say it differently. We have to say it like peace of mind for the bride and for the bride's family. We know that it's going to be an open bar. So it's the one less thing for her to worry about, one less thing for you to worry about, because we all know that events are hectic. So it's basically just having a partner like looking out for you. So if we settle that ease of mind that way, and being a help to them, which is what we are anyway. Um yeah, right? Not saying to milk the fun or policing, right?
yeah, so it's not the legalese around it. It's
Right.
not the stuff, but it's how to sustain that momentum, how to make them feel happier, how to make it look like an enhancement. It's like, so you're on cloud nine, you're saying you're taking them to cloud 20 with your product.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also, if we even do it with a little bit of exclusivity, like, we're not at every wedding, but high class weddings, or upper echelon weddings, this is a staple. This you
Yeah,
need it.
because they have more to lose if something happens.
Exactly.
So it could be that as well. So
Yeah.
again, there's a bunch of ways to look at it. Again, which is why I always say my objective isn't to be right.
Right.
My objective is to share perspectives, to provide tools, resources to help you look at things a different lens, or lenses to look at stuff.
And you do that very, very well, Tayo. Like you give us things to think about. But every time we think that we had enough to think about, then it's like a whole other paradigm shift. So really, really appreciate it. You didn't put your thing in the chat though. You didn't put your
I
information in
did.
the chat. Oh, no, it's not. I think you. Let me make sure that you didn't put it in the private chat. Hold on, because I am not seeing it. We're not seeing it on the chat here at all.
Sorry, one second.
Um,
Let me check and see.
yeah, put it in the comment. The comment. You see the comment right there, like on the Hi Clip Cartel, right on the Clip Cartels. And Invest says you have seen many product solutions. Not sure if you are more of the product person or are you deep into the stack? Is it possible to take a look? Well, yeah, afterwards, Invest, you can probably reach out to him privately, and then he
Have you
will.
seen it now?
No. Why am I not seeing
It says
where you
there,
put it?
live chat, under live chat on the YouTube stuff.
Comments. I am not seeing it, but let me write it. What should I write?
1 second.
Is it
Are you
saying?
sure?
Yeah,
Or is
it's
it?
not. It's not
Or is it
there
just
under the chat. Like, look in the actual chat, not in where we are right now, but the actual chat in the.
on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Do
I
you
just
see
did. I
Clip
just posted
Cartel?
it.
Do you see Clip Car? You see somewhere named Clip Cartel? You see his writing,
I can see
but right under that, like post a comment.
click part. Yes, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it there.
So
Love
where's
this
your?
reasoning. It's like food to the soul.
Yeah, but I don't see your writing. But you know what? I will add it. Let me just add it for you. Tell me what to write.
Uh, it's my calendar link I wanted to share.
Okay, your calendar link. Okay. Let me get it. Where is the calendar link?
Let me post it to you on WhatsApp so you can post it.
Yeah, post it to me on WhatsApp. Okay. All right. So let rapid fire now, because you've been so gracious. You've been here 1 hour and 25 minutes. What mindset should founders adopt in the first 12 months that they often learn only after failing?
I'm not going to talk as an expert on this, but it's like dating. You don't start out on day one and tell your
You
entire
understand?
life.
You always have that analogy with your 5 wives. All right, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
I don't have 5 wives. Don't
Yes,
believe
I
Juliet. Don't
Oh
believe.
my goodness. Go ahead. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
It's like dating. You don't know everything about the person on day one. Neither do they know everything about you on day one.
Yeah.
So it's like, like an onion peel, one layer at a time. You don't want to say enough to scare them away, and you don't want them to be scared. You don't want to also be scared away with too many things as well, in that sense. So look at it that way. And the reason is because typically with your customers, unless it's a transactional thing, like one-off thing, in most cases, spend more time trying to understand their mindset, one layer at a time, trying to understand what their motivations are. Don't throw in and don't go and build something and then take it to them and say, "Oh, we built this. Oh, what do you think about it?" At the end of the day, some people are just going to massage your ego,
Yeah.
and they're not going to tell you the truth. But if you say to them, "Oh, we're trying to deal with this challenge," again, where you're trying to end up, that's the destination, which means we're trying to provide a solution to this problem. We don't know how to provide that solution. What you don't even have to tell them how, but you could say simply say things like, how do you solve this problem right now? Is this a challenge for you? How do you solve it? What tools do you use? What challenges do you have with the current tools? What kind of tools would you need, and so on and so forth? In all of this, you haven't even mentioned your own solution or your own ideas about it. And the reason is that it gives you an opportunity to learn more about what the competition is in the market. Don't think that your competition is that big established organization, because they're in the market and already earning money. You're not their competitor and they're not your competitor. It's delusional. I think it's even arrogant of entrepreneurs to think that a more established company is their competitor, whereas they're not even in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no you're not on the same plane at all.
Right.
Now, you can get to that point where you start giving them a good run for their money, but in the first instance, all you want to do is really understand how customers are solving that problem, if it is indeed a real problem, how they're solving it, which tools they're using, what challenges they're having with those tools, and what they would like to do differently. In that sense, it's always going to come down to cost, time, and convenience.
Yeah.
Three things in that sense there. So whether it's saving them money, whether it's saving them time, sometimes it's costing them. Your solution is going to cost them more money, but it's going to save them time, and they value that time. For example, if you tell somebody, instead of mowing the lawn, or instead of doing snow blowing or going to clear the snow and so on and so forth like that, you have a robot or machine that can do it for them. It's going to map out your entire yard area. Once it starts to snow, at the end of the day, it already knows. It will not just blow the snow away, it will also salt for you,
Yeah.
at any point in time like that there. I can guarantee you would have a lot of customers that will buy it, because people don't want the snow clearing is a challenge for them. And then salting might be something that people forget about there. And you could even make a business out of it by going to municipalities and clearing walkways. You could go to condo boards, you could go to real estate, whatever it is like that, HOAs or whatever it is they're called, and things like that. Then the point is, there has to be a problem first that you're trying to solve.
Right.
And you need to be able to understand whether that problem really exists, how people are solving it right now, what they're using to solve it, what challenges they're having right now, and what they would like to change or what improvements they would like to see in that instance. If you spend your time doing that over the first 3 to 6 months of building anything, you haven't really invested time and money. What you've done is just try to know people, try to get conversations, random conversations. But they also, and over time, you will know whether they're the right audience or not.
Right.
So I have a solution that can work on vehicle tires and so many things like that there, and even to bicycles, motorbikes, and so on and so forth like that. There's only one person I've spoken to that said he doesn't think that is of any use because he rides a motorbike, and I understand why. Even though the solution can work on a motorbike, but it's not safety-wise and all those things like that. It's not viable for a motorbike in that sense. Like, there's only one person that I've spoken to that has that kind of thing like that, and I'm not angry with him because of what it just won't work. I already knew.
Right.
But I didn't know he rode a motorbike.
Right.
So
that gives you more context.
So I'm not, but that's it. So the more you spend with your target audience, the more you realize whether you really have something that is there. And it's at different stages. So if you say the first conversation you have, in most cases, people are just going to tell you something neutral. Maybe you bump into them at an event and stuff like that. But the more you engage, the more second conversations, third conversations, the more you go into it and you tell them, based on either previous conversations, you refine your thought process, you refine your messaging, you refine all of those things like that. Then the more people begin to open up to you, because then they see that there's more thought behind it. I've heard things that people like say, well, that's very thoughtful of you, and so on and so forth like that, because of a feature that we put in there. But the point is, it came from user feedback.
Right.
Or experience from somewhere at the end of the day. So that's the first thing you need to focus your time on. Leave the technology, leave all of those things. I can guarantee you there's technology to do what it is you want to do.
Yeah. I remember you taught us that too. I remember you taught us that.
It exists. You can build it.
Yeah. That's yeah. I remember that lesson. That was a good lesson.
In fact, if you can build anything without using technology, you can validate any solution without building technology, without writing one line of code. Just use existing tools, even Google Forms, even Excel spreadsheet, even all of those things like that. Then you have a more viable business. Technology will only amplify it for you from there on.
I remember you said that. I remember you taught us that. Yeah. That gave us a different mindset because, like it's so easy to rely on the technology, but you're going to be banging your head on it for a while, especially when you're not, because it's such a living, breathing thing. That's what, from my perspective. So certain things, I can't really, I wouldn't outsource at certain times, right? Because I feel like I know I'm in the conversation. I understand what the messaging is or should be, or how to talk to these people, right? Like, so certain, I don't know how to explain, but I do know how to explain, but some things you have to do yourself, or you get the understanding from actually doing it, and actually being in it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, you can't outsource a lot of things at first. Let me explain why.
Right. Yeah.
And it's for the reasons I said earlier, is that if you don't know your customers well enough, you won't even know. And maybe the other part of it I didn't say, one of the consequences of those things is that once you engage your customers, potential customer base, once you have clarity on, what they want or what is and stuff like that, what happens is that you begin to, craft out a plan as to how to, refining all of those things like I mentioned earlier. But then over time, you begin to discover yourself what your own strengths are, things you need to learn, or things you need to, the principle of build, borrow, or buy.
Right.
Do I need to borrow this? Do I need to buy it? Do I need to build it. So anything you're going to build is going to take you time.
Yeah.
So you need to know anything you're going to borrow is temporal. Like when you have a fractional person, you have a coach, you have all of those kind of things like that. If you're going to buy, which is, let's in terms of hiring, you're going to buy somebody's time who has experience, expertise, and stuff, is going to cost you money.
Yeah.
So it's always building might take a while and might be cheaper for you, but on the long run might be more sustainable. But you necessarily don't always have the time to build.
Right.
So that's always the question you're going to have to ask yourself at every decision point you need to make. So when you have all that information from your customers, and the more the information that is coming in, you're going to figure out what your strengths are, the things that you can do very quickly and rapidly, and the things that you need help for. It helps you outline those things that you need, because you don't just need help for the sake of, oh, I need a personal assistant. What's a personal assistant doing to organize your life? Yeah, because sometimes that's all it is. But the question is, why did you need somebody else to organize your life if it's not really organized? Maybe then you need to slow down. Maybe you need to reprioritize and do certain things like that there. Because you take on the role of personal assistant, what it means is that then you have somebody else to manage. That's
Yeah.
another. That's a human element. That's another headache entirely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you want to get there. I'm saying that you need to be sure that at that point in time, when you get into that place there, you have the capacity to be able to deal with it. Because then that can create a completely different bottleneck for you that you're not prepared for.
Completely different problem, especially as you grow
Yeah,
and the cracks spread.
absolutely.
So, Tyrell, if you could give one piece of advice to a new entrepreneur who wants to avoid the common traps, what would it be?
Spend time with the customers. Don't get caught up. Don't, like the guys in the, I think it was a mafia movie. Somebody said, "Oh, don't get high on your own cheap supply or something. Don't get
Yeah.
high."
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it is. If it's your solution, it's not your solution for you. It could work for you, but if it's meant for other people to pay you, then it's your solution for other people. You shouldn't get high on it, meaning that you need to be flexible. It
Yeah.
may not be the way they want it. It may be something completely different from what you had in mind. And you need to be ready. You need to be adaptable enough to know that you can move away from that direction. Then two is, you don't know, you need to realize very quickly, it's a skill set to develop. You need to realize very quickly that you don't know what you don't know. So it's not
Yeah.
that you don't know some things, it's that you don't even know what you don't know.
Right.
So you need to have that sense to be able to determine that very quickly as well. When you interact, when you engage anybody else, that, oh, this, I didn't even realize that I didn't know this. And then you go in search of that knowledge, in that sense, like that. And then thirdly is to be very, again, so the way I define it, the stuff is where you want to end up, you know, hardly ever compromise on that. And that's why you need to spend time on what the vision is, where the destination is. On the how, really shouldn't change more than any 3 to 6 months, because you need time to demonstrate that that is working. It's not something that is going to be happen overnight. So you need time to adjust that in itself. And then on the what is what you need to be as flexible as. If you did something yesterday and you saw your results that wasn't, you did something for 1 week, it's not bringing you the kind of results you want, just throw it in the bin and go and do
Throw it
something.
out and go. That's a lesson I had to learn.
Don't waste your time
Don't
trying
waste
to
your
say,
time.
oh, I need to. Don't follow the fad. If that thing isn't working for you, forget a lot of things that people say online. They lie. They lie a lot.
Like a lot.
They
Yeah.
lie a lot.
A
Because
lot.
let me ask you a question. If all their stuff is working, why are they constantly trying to sell you courses that you need to pay for?
Exactly.
Don't bother yourself.
Don't buy
Because
anything.
that's how they
Exactly.
make their own money. That's their business model. Is to constantly lure you in.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same. The same is this. You know about the red pill people, right? The same thing with the red pill thing. They're selling this course. They're keeping these young men lonely, right? And selling these courses to them that get them even worse off, right? Right? And and creating a whole generation of incels, but yet still buy our course and we'll teach, and they're even more lonely, just to get more and more money. So it's the same. It's, yeah, you're right. But all right, as a founder, where should a founder, you think, invest their first $1,000? So they have $1,000. And to them, that's a lot because, they have their family, they have all of that stuff, and they're working a 9 to 5. Where do you think they should put their first 1K?
In a mutual fund or something like that. And I'll explain why. If you can avoid spending that money, if you can discipline yourself and you can avoid spending that money for the first 3 to 6 months, where you don't spend a dime on that business, I'm telling you, you'll be liberated for life throughout the entire course of the business. The most difficult thing for any entrepreneur to do is to have the resources to do something, but finding other ways. It's because it helps you become creative. And at that point, you can afford not to spend that money. You find ways that you can do the same thing that you would have spent money doing.
Okay. I got it.
So you go put it in a mutual fund, and at the end of it, at the end of that exercise, that's because I'm telling you, if you can do a business, find a way to do a business that it didn't cost you other than your time, anything other than your time, to put in there, and you can generate money from day one from that business. You're liberated for life.
All right. I love this so much. What should entrepreneurs think about mentors? What's a good mentor versus a harmful one?
So I look at it in 3 different ways.
Yeah.
We have those we call industry experts,
Yes.
who are specific to certain industries like that. So part of the work that I do also is that I'm able to say, I know some people who do this thing better. There's more in this industry than I do. So I can talk about almost any industry, but I don't have depth in some industries. And where I know people do things better, I'm quite happy to do a referral to say, look, and say, can you help this person or can you work with this person like that? So there's subject matter experts in those industries, and they give you a broad view of what an industry looks like. It's a good foundational knowledge. Then you have a coach whose job it is to help to work with specific things over a short period of time. So specific things like in soccer or football, you have a goalkeeper's goalie who's a coach whose job it is to help the goalie develop skill sets for penalty kicks, kickouts, like that, or a strikeout to do free kicks or to do headshots or whatever it is like that. There, it's specific about certain things like that in that sense there, and it can change. So now it's this marketing, this one is operational strategy, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Then you have, and there are coaches that can help with specific things as well too. There are coaches that can help you broad base more, become even to become a better entrepreneur.
Right.
Like more broad based, like a better leader, better manager, and so on. So it's quite broad. And then you have mentors. Mentors are typically more long term.
Yeah.
And they're not fixed. They're more broad based in terms of those kind of things like that there. So depending on what you're really looking for and where you are at your stage of business and life or career, that's what will determine who you're looking for in most cases. I'd say before you go get a mentor, just find a coach first that can help with certain skill sets, because a mentor might be good and can adopt coaching skills, but they may not have the time, the availability that you need for a lot of things, to be honest. So mentors are typically people who've done what you're trying to do at a much higher level, be successful at it, depending on, again, they could be mentors, for example, in family life. There could be a mentor in business, and so on and so forth like that. So the experiences they can share, the stories they can tell you, that help you make decisions. And most times you don't need to spend a lot of time with them.
True.
You don't need to spend a lot of time with them.
True.
And you get what you're
talk to them often. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to talk to them often. But there are people you can call up at 1 a.m. and they'll have time for you. So in that sense. So that broken down, most people, I realize, don't necessarily, they need mentors, but before you engage a mentor, it's best you develop yourself first to a certain level.
Right.
Because you cannot, there are people you see online, doesn't matter who they are, what they do, that you admire. that if you get close to them personally, you'll be offended because of the way they are personally, the way they behave.
Yeah.
Not because they're doing anything particular, not because of you, but there's certain traits that will not work well for you. So it's good to admire people from afar.
I say that all the time. Don't meet your heroes. Yeah, don't meet some of your heroes. Yeah.
But when you get close, you begin to see that they're real human beings with their own struggles and challenges at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you're not mature to a point, some of those things can rub you off the wrong way. Right. And when they rub you off the wrong way, you can burn that bridge. Because the goal of your interaction with such people is not really to go there and judge them or look at their own idiosyncrasies and stuff like that. It's to learn from them.
Learn from them. Right.
So the mentor is the one that does more teaching than actually even the coaches and stuff. Coach is more collaborative, but the mentor is more teaching kind of thing, more from life, the experiences in life at the end of the day. So I don't think I answered the question the way you might have wanted. But
that's okay, but you still answered.
I provided an answer.
You provided an answer. That's right. And just like a mentor, it's like an overview, right? More of a more holistic approach so that we can think about it differently. So that's one of the things that I definitely admire, and I'm very grateful to you, as well as even Julie Ellis too, right? Like yeah. And the good thing about both of you is if you don't know, you send us to somewhere or give us a link to a resource for us to find it ourselves. So it's you're like journey guides, basically guides on the entrepreneur journey. But Taiwo, you've been awesome, and I thank you very much. Is there anything that you want to leave us with? Because I know you only see 5 people here, but I get so much on the playback. Like when it comes on to I don't know if it's the times that I do it or what it is, but by Tuesday, Wednesday, everybody watches the playback. So Sundays is, but anything at all that you want to leave us with, anything at all that you want to say, or especially to the gents in the chat, or what do you want to tell us in closing?
Being an entrepreneur is made to look very attractive online or generally because of things you hear, but it isn't attractive.
It is not.
It's not attractive. Let me be honest with you. So if you're going into it because you want to have more time for yourself, that's a lie.
Big lie.
If you're going into it because then you don't even have time. In 9 to 5, you can tell your employer, my employment contract says I work 9 to 5, and that's it. But as an entrepreneur, running your own thing like that, it's more challenging. So that's one. 2 is that, or thirdly, is that you don't. You need to have a certain mindset, and it requires a lot of resilience. It's going to test your every fiber of your being, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. It will test you in every single way at every point in time.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to come back from it. You know, so you need to have that mindset that, look, it's it's a bump in the way, and we'll move on and get out of it. And every day learning to show up as well.
Yeah.
It's very important in that sense. Then don't carry too many things on your head, thinking that, oh, the answer must work. I'm the only one that can do this. And by the way, don't keep all your stuff to yourself. I'm not saying put all your trade secrets, but don't keep it to yourself and thinking, oh, people will steal my idea. Let me tell you, for every idea you have, there are 10 other people that have similar ideas. If you're not the only one that has the idea, I can tell you for free.
Exactly. So, it's true.
You put yourself, you go enter a paranoid mode that is not going to help you under any circumstance at all. So please take care of yourself, build a good support network around you of similar entrepreneurs, people you can bounce ideas off. It's always helpful, in that sense like that. And then read more where you can. It's helpful. The more the knowledge you have, the more information you have, the easier it is to accept things or to reject things or to know what to do at any point in time. And then overall, my stuff is there, Calendly. You can schedule a time.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Thank
then
you.
happy to chat.
Thank you, Taiwo. Yeah, and for what you talk about too, like what I find, like I said, like everything is a living, breathing thing, just like even your business plan. Like that's why even when we first started working together, I said, Taiwo, I don't want to do this business because this business plan changes all the time. Like I have a business plan and I thought that it was gold. And then by 6 months later, it changed. So every time when somebody tell me to put the business plan, I'm like, oh my God, not this again. But you were right. It's good to have the direction and flesh out things, even though we know it's going to change. Don't have that mindset that it's going to be perfect. But what I'm saying about the ebb and the flow is such a real thing, even in nature, because I find myself isolated and then networking, right? And I still have the people who I would like Shan and all those people from Haltech. I know I can call on them anytime, but I find myself in dark loneliness.
It's a lonely, it's a lonely journey. It's a lonely journey, man. Yeah.
Right? And then networking, and then you're out, and then you're back in again. So it's like there's no. It's just the life that you just. That's just what it is. So bless you, Taiwo, and thank you so much. And thank you so much for you've been so generous with your time. Bless you. And I'm sending you a book for somebody in your family, just for you. And I want to hear what you have to say about it. Thank you so much, Taiwo. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the audience. I really appreciate the time. It's been a pleasure and a privilege here.
Thank you. All right. Just X out, Taiwo.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Oh, Miss T. Hi, Miss T. Oh, dear, Miss T. Sorry, I didn't see you. Investors, I rather work 100 hours on my business than 40 on the job, even though I love my job. Will be sad when I have to leave. I understand. It's always, invest what I always say. There's always a sacrifice. Always a sacrifice. So, you see, and that's why I was that's why I said, this channel, because we see so much in everybody, and I just want people to have the reality of what it really is, right? And we just need Jamaican people, and not. I don't want to. I know people say that I isolate other communities. I'm not isolating other communities, but my Jamaican people are that's where I was born and raised. These are the people. That's my community. Yes, I do have other circles of friends and stuff like that, but friends on Canadian friends, American friends, it's no shade to you. Not at all. But I do know that our Jamaican people are very, very resilient, and a lot of them just need a chance or just need exposure to things that we readily readily. I swear, if I can make it through alive and not have a tongue twister, that would be a day. I would buy lots of that readily, right? Have access to. So bless you all. Thank you so much for being here. That's his link there. He's one of my mentors, one of my trusted mentors, and very knowledgeable and very giving of his time, etc. Yeah, bless you guys. Next week we're supposed to have a fireside chat. Hey, Imhotep, I'm glad that you're there. Next week we're supposed to have a fireside chat. We'll see how it goes. But bless you guys. I am going to go. Bless you, and thank you very much for being here.